Welcome to another episode of Is This for Kids? I'm Jonathan Beard of Blevins, father of 3, 1 on the way, and I think that most media marketed to kids is harmful to them.
And I'm Katie, MrsRuvi, and I think that most media that's marketed to kids can be redeemed.
She also has kids.
I have 5 of them. A lot of kids. I have a lot of kids. Yeah, but the point of this podcast is to let parents know what's in a piece of content that they might want to shield their kids from, what topics come up that they're going to want to talk their kids through and shepherd them into the world, and then how they can use media to share in an influential part of their kids' life.
And today we're talking about a new Lego movie.
Yeah.
Kind of. But yes.
Yes.
Piece by piece. The documentary of Pharrell.
Yes, this is a autobiography. I think you would call it that. I don't know. He narrates it, so it must be, right?
I think so.
Of Pharrell Williams, beginning with his childhood in the projects in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and his rise through pop stardom. And it's told in like a very Pharrell way. Like once you've watched it and you realize all of the songs that he's been involved in, making it with Legos makes the most sense.
100%.
It completely does. It's a Lego biography. All the characters are Legos. You see a Lego representation of Gwen Stefani and Snoop Dogg.
Pusha T.
It was fantastic.
Justin Timberlake.
Yeah, Lego Justin Timberlake is worth your time.
Yeah,
I'd say.
It was a wild ride of a movie.
Yeah, he starts at the beginning talking about how he has something called synesthesia, which is one of my favorite phenomenons in the world. Synesthesia is where 2 parts of your brain that wouldn't normally be connected have formed pathways, and so you can, in his case, see sound. He hears beats or sees beats as color, which is why he's like describing them with the Legos.
That's a real thing.
It's a real thing, and my oldest daughter has it. I have a friend who had it with letters for her. Her name is Leia. She sees letters as inherently colored. She can tell, like looking at your hat, the words are white. She knows that they're white, but the letter D in her brain is always orange. Like it's an orange letter. It has an aura of orange. So when I would tell her my baby's names, she would tell me what color they were, like what it looks like in her brain when she sees it. My oldest daughter believes numbers 1 through 9 have personalities, and they've been consistent her entire life. Like from the time she was 5.
Wow.
5 and 7 are related to each other. They don't get along, and they both have a crush on 6. And they're both boys. She'll tell you these crazy, and so when she sees the number 57, she's like, that number's uncomfortable because they don't like each other.
I did not know. So I will say with this movie, piece by piece, I'm watching it. I was not looking forward to it. I was kind of like, what, Snoop Dogg's in a Lego movie? Yeah. Like, how is this going to be a movie that kids would want to watch? And I'm watching it, and I'm like, this movie's not made for kids. It really is not. And again, like you said, you watch the movie, you learn about Pharrell, the things he loves, the way his mind works, and you understand why he wanted it to be a Lego movie, because he's the first one to ever do this. He is super creative. So why wouldn't he do something that kind of changes the whole world's space of documentaries? So it makes perfect sense. But I'm watching it, I'm like, this is not for kids. My kids would be so bored. Yeah. For me, I was in heaven. All these songs I had no idea that Pharrell had his hands on, and the beats that he made for, my favorite rappers, some of my favorite rap songs, Justin Timberlake, Gwen Stefani. And it was so cool. Like every song that happened, I was like, Pharrell did that? Mm-hmm. Pharrell did that? It was awesome.
Yeah, it was really impressive. It was not made for kids, which is probably one of the most surprising things for this. It's not inappropriate necessarily. So like from a Shield perspective, there's a lot of S words, no F words. It's rated PG. There's a scene in there where Snoop Dogg is visible, and so the whole room is filled with smoke, but they spray something that says PG spray. So you see it like filling the room.
Your 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old would not understand what's happening. No. But your 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16
totally gonna get it. My 11-year-old.
So there's drug references, there's alcohol.
Yeah, little bit of that. There are Lego people in bikinis meant to mimic some of the more raunchy, hip hop videos that are out there, but they're Lego people. Right. So like, whatever. I looked it up beforehand. Like I actually was like, I'm going to need to Google Pharrell just so that like I'm not telling parents to take their kid to a biography of a movie about like, you're going to find out outside the movie he did X, Y, and Z and we should be concerned. But upon Googling him, he has a really quite unproblematic life. The biggest controversy involving Pharrell is what had to do with the song Blurred Lines, which a lot of people know about, that he wrote the beats for a song that's basically about non-consensual sexual advances. Anyway, and then he also got sued for plagiarism around that, and that song is actually put in the movie in the context of his like losing track of himself, right?
Yep.
So like that was kind of a bad part for him. But the only other controversy I could find with him had to do with like him being unwilling to toe specific political lines. Like in a 2014, I think, Oprah special or masterclass, he talked about himself being beyond race. Like he doesn't see himself as being a racially motivated figure, but he does identify with the Black community. So, you know, it was just some people felt like that was insensitive to racial issues.
Which is interesting because in the movie there is a Black Lives Matter, I Can't Breathe 5-minute portion that felt very weird to be placed there. It really did not kind of flow in the way the movie went.
Yeah, knowing that about him going into it, because I know like as a shepherd conversation, there are a lot of people who have opinions about the Black Lives Matter movement. That aside, I think a lot of people can agree that there is a difference between the idea that Black people matter and Black Lives Matter Inc.
Right.
Like if we want to call it something. If we can separate those two ideas, it's very clear what he's trying to do. Like there's a line in there where his grandmother tells him, find something that you love to do and you'll know that it's right when you can find a purpose for humanity in it.
Yep.
So he writes a song to like support the Black community in that moment when the 2020 riots were happening.
Yep.
So that's the basis for that discussion, but that might be a good like shepherd conversation. If you have concerns about the politics there, one way or the other, you can talk to your kids about it there.
Yep.
Anything else that you would shepherd?
Well, so again, I really just don't like my kids, especially, would just be so uninterested in this movie because it just is like the only reason I was because I was shocked every 5 minutes. I was like, he did this song, my favorite Snoop Dogg beat, what? Like, and so I was like a kid in a candy store. But my kids would absolutely be bored out of their minds during this movie, even though it is really visually well done and I think just fun. If you are going to watch it with your kids, I think great shepherding conversations about chasing your dreams, importance of family. Mm-hmm. You can kind of tell that he's really, really close with his family, and his grandma especially had a huge impact on his life. But then he insinuates that he kind of left and like didn't spend a lot of time with her and kind of has some regret around that. And also like really big conversations on fame.
Yeah.
I think like a lot of people want to be famous and they think that if they can ever just do that they'll be happy and satisfied, and whether you're a religious person or not, I don't care, nothing, like it won't satisfy you,
right?
And he makes that very clear that like he finally gets what he wanted forever and it's not the thing that satisfies him. What is it in the end that ends up making him realize that like his life is good? His wife and his kids.
Yeah,
I think you can have some really good conversations about all of those topics.
For sure. Well, I did take my kids to see this, my 3-year-old, my 11-year-old, and my 10-year-old. The 3-year-old was bored stiff. Like she thought she was going to have fun, and she loves the Lego movie. It's a biography. Like it's not fun for kids. But one thing that I talked to them a little bit about is like they talks a lot about Pharrell not fitting a stereotype, right? Like he wasn't a street kid, even though he came from the projects. He skateboarded, even though Black people don't skateboard, is what they said in the movie. You know, he was not interested in street culture, but yet he was able to like make these fun beats that were more like that worked really well in there. I think societally we're so big into telling kids that they need to hurry up and buy an identity and then defend the boundaries of that identity just to their death. And he seems to be completely in the opposite camp. It was a really cool, interesting thing just to see him say like, no, this is more about unity. This is about creativity. This is about collaboration. Anyway, what age range would you say that this is appropriate for?
Probably like 8 and up. Because they're not going to get the drug references. Yeah. But again, it's just a movie not made for kids. So I probably wouldn't show it to my kids unless they're like 10 or 11 and interested in it.
Yeah, I would say you're about right. 8 and up for the appropriateness, for the interest level. I would probably say middle school, 12, 13. And I would definitely show this to a middle school kid. Like if they're a little weird, if your kid's like a little niche, weird, this would be a great movie for you.
There has in the history of the world, there has never been a better time for your kid to be weird.
Like seriously,
I'm serious. Like there's so many like niches out there and ways that you can use whatever your gifts and talents are to make a living. So I think this would be a really good movie to show a middle schooler, not just weird ones, but any of them, to like help them figure out that they can go chase their dreams.
Hey, if people liked this episode, where could they go to find more like it?
You need to go to isthisforkids.com. We are available everywhere you can find a podcast. Our YouTube is really well done. Our editors are awesome. And also our Instagram. You are very active on there. I have been known to comment recently.
Yeah.
So
I'm not going to comment anymore on those 2 reels from the summer.
Stop asking me my gambling advice on my Is This for Kids podcast.
That's not for kids.
It's not for kids.
Yeah. There's just so much content out there for us to wade through as parents.
I'm Jonathan Beard of Blevins.
I'm Katie, MrsRuvi. Let us help you decide.
Is this for kids?
Wow.